Hi, it's Amy and welcome to this deep relaxation yoga class. All you need is yourself, and once you're ready, we will arrive together. So we're going to start coming onto our sit bones, just shuffling into the middle of our mat, just bringing your feet out a little bit further in front of you and bringing your hands behind your thighs. Taking a nice deep breath in, we're going to draw our belly towards our thighs, lift our chest up. And as we exhale, tucking our chin to our chest as we round through our spine and then rolling all the way along our spine, we are going to come all the way onto our backs. So once the back of your head meets the mat, just shuffling your shoulders down, tucking your hips underneath, closing any space underneath your lower back, and then stretching your heels to the bottom of the mat. Taking another deep breath in here. I invite you to close your eyes as you just bring your arms just to frame your hips with your palms facing upwards. So for the first few moments of our class, we are really focusing on arriving. And we can do that just by bringing our awareness to our breath here to begin with. And just maybe noticing our breath for the first time today. Noticing the sensations. The gentle rise and fall of your belly and your chest. And we'll use our breath just to bring us into the present moment and anchor us into the here and now. Now starting to take some deeper breaths in through the nose, really filling your lungs, allowing your belly to rise. And nice long exhale out through the mouth. Repeating these a few more times as you inhale deep through the nose, feeling your ribcage expand. And as you exhale, allowing everything to sink and soften down to the mat. 2 more. Signaling to our nervous system that it's okay to relax here. And then once you're ready, just allowing your breath just to settle back into its natural rhythm. So keeping your eyes closed here if you'd like to. With our next inhale, we're going to guide our arms all the way up and overhead, maybe bringing our hands to the ground behind us as we point our toes to the bottom of our mat and extend right up from our fingertips, finding our pencil pose here, creating length along the sides of the body. Another deep breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to guide our arms all the way back up and overhead to frame our hips. Inhale to lift and lengthen back into our pencil pose. Really reach with our fingertips. And as we exhale, we're going to draw our right knee into our chest, bringing our arms around, maybe interlacing our fingers just over the shin, drawing that knee a little closer towards the chest. Inhale to extend the arms and that right leg back to the bottom of the mat. And as we exhale, let's guide that left knee in, hugging it into the chest. Inhale to lift and lengthen. And as we exhale, we're going to draw both knees in, hugging knees to chest, Apanasana. wrapping our arms around the shins or behind the thighs, whichever you'd prefer, and then adding a little movement here if that feels good. So maybe gently rocking from side to side. And then finding stillness here in our Apanasana. Now we're going to bring our hands behind our thighs. We're going to softly open our eyes if they aren't already. And then we're going to rock ourselves all the way up to come back onto our sit bones. We're just going to cross our legs here and find an easy seat pose. Once we are there, bringing our hands to our knees, we're going to draw our belly and our chest forward once again and find length along our spine. So we are extended from our tailbone right up and out through the crown of our head. We have this nice long line, this column of energy, and we are rooted and grounded into our yoga mats here. With our next inhale, we're going to lift our arms once again up and overhead. And as we exhale, guiding our fingertips with control down to the mat. Inhale to rise and exhale to lower. Inhale to rise, this time drawing a line with our nose, gaze comes to the thumbs. And as we exhale, we release our fingertips, bringing them to the ground as our chin tucks into our chest, lengthening along the back of the neck. Inhale, let's do one more, gaze to the thumbs. And exhale, fingertips to the earth, chin to the chest. We're going to keep it here, opening along the back of the neck, through the tops of the shoulders. Fingertips are firmly grounded, framing our thighs. And then we can either keep stillness here or maybe start to draw some half semicircles, bringing our gaze to the left and then over to the right. Opening along the sides of the neck, tops of the shoulders. And then finding stillness, bringing our gaze back to center. We're going to bring our hands just to rest on our knees, finding that nice neutral spine here once again. So apologies for not mirroring you here. With our next inhale, we're going to lift our hands up and overhead, gaze to the thumbs. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring our left hand over to our right knee, and our right fingertips are going to place just behind us, keeping that nice lift through our chest. We take a gentle twist over to the right hand side, keeping that connection to our breath. We're really moving with intention today because we're really inviting our bodies, our minds, just to find that deep relaxation. We'll inhale to lift both arms back up and overhead, really reaching, taking up some space here today. And as we exhale, right hand to left knee, left fingertips behind us, finding that lift through our chest. Let's inhale to lift our arms back up and overhead, and exhale, release our hands down. Coming over onto our right side, we're just going to swoop that left leg out to the side. So we find that stag leg shape here, keeping that length. We're going to bring that right hand to the ground beside us. And as we inhale, lifting our left fingertips up and over. So a little mermaid stretch here, maybe sinking into that right elbow a little to create some space. Swooping the left fingertips over to the left hand side, right fingertips come up. And then bringing that right hand out in front of us, so bringing our chest over that left leg. We're going to bring everything back to center. Find that cross leg shape briefly before turning it to the other side, releasing that right leg, finding that stag leg shape here. We'll inhale, let's send our arms back up, and exhale, left hand meets the ground, right fingertips come over, maybe sinking into that left elbow a little here. Inhale to rise, right fingertips come down, left fingertips come up, opening over the left side of the body. Nice deep breaths. Let's guide that left hand over and in front. So we're leaning our body over that right thigh. And then slowly returning through center. Finding that cross leg shape again here. We're going to come from our Sukhasana, our easy seat, into our first tabletop. So rocking ourselves forward, releasing our legs out behind us and bringing our knees underneath our hips, our wrists underneath our shoulders, and we are starting with the tops of our feet just firmly planted on the ground. Finding that neutral spine, so drawing our navel up towards our spine, our gaze is in that space between our hands. And we are extended through the crown of our head. So keeping that connection with our breath, we're going to move in and out of our cat-cow here. So as we inhale, we're going to dip our belly low, lifting our tailbone up and bringing our gaze and our chest forwards. As we exhale, rounding through the spine, gaze comes between our hands all the way through, maybe bringing gaze towards navel, chin to chest. Inhale to open back up. And exhale to close. So moving in and out of your cat-cow, finding your own rhythm here if you'd like to, but really focusing on that connection as you breathe. And you can add any other gentle movements here. Maybe you want to add a little hip circle here as you come round. I very much encourage you to explore each pose, finding your own embodied practice. It's very much your practice. And then finding stillness, returning through center, finding that neutral spine before sending your hips back to your heels, extending your arms out nice and long, coming into a child's pose, bringing your head to rest on the ground if that feels good, maybe even flipping our palms to face the ceiling here to release through the shoulders. Maybe setting a quiet intention here. If we're here to relax, that could be an intention, an opening, an opportunity to allow that relaxation in. And lifting our head here, flipping our palms back down, really grounding through the heels of our hands as we lift ourselves back up and return back into our tabletop, just shuffling our hands back in alignment so they are nicely underneath our shoulders. Inhale, dipping our belly, lifting our chest, and then exhale, round through the spine, cat-cow. 2 more. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Inhale to open. And then this time as we exhale, curling the toes under, we're going to lift our knees, just hover them off the ground, coming into a hovering tabletop or bear pose. And then as we exhale with control, guide the knees back to meet back on the ground, keeping those toes curled under here to begin with. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, hovering tabletop, coming a little higher here, keeping our core nice and engaged, finding that stability. Exhale to release back to the ground. Okay, inhale to lift our chest. Exhale, this time sending our hips all the way up and back. We're coming into our first downward facing dog. So just nice and gently pedaling through the heels, maybe allowing our hips to sway, feeling that release along our lower back. Just Nice and gently pedaling through the heels. Then finding stillness here, we're going to start to walk our hands towards our feet. So we're going to come to the bottom of our mat, meeting in a forward fold with a nice soft bend in our knees here. So maybe holding onto our elbows, allowing our head to hang nice and heavy, as if we're being drawn down to the mat here. Perhaps adding a gentle sway, if that feels good, on the backs of your legs here. Then finding stillness, returning through center, bringing your fingertips just to the mat. We're just going to gently bend one knee and then the other. So left and right, bending one knee, then the other. Feeling that opening through the back of our legs. Then coming back to center, nice soft bend in our knees. We're going to bring our hands to our thighs here in our forward fold. And then rounding through the spine, we're going to push ourselves all the way up until we meet standing here. So bringing our hands to frame our hips, we meet in our mountain pose, our Tadasana, at the bottom of our mat. Bringing our hands to our heart center, maybe returning back to that intention we set. Maybe softly closing our eyes. And then opening our eyes, bringing our hands behind us now. We're going to interlace our fingers and draw them down past our sit bones. So we open through our chest. So we're squeezing our shoulder blades together. Maybe a slight tilt in our gaze as we open through the front of our body. And then hinging from our hips, we're going to come back into that forward fold, but with our arms behind us. Maybe starting to draw our hands up and perhaps up towards the ceiling. Maybe squeezing our palms together for a little bit more openness. As we bring our belly towards our thighs, and we don't need to lock our legs straight here. We can have as much of a bend through our knees as we need. And then once again, maybe pedaling through our legs, maybe bending one knee then the other. And then finding stillness, we're going to gently release our hands, bring them back to the mat, and then walk our hands away, meeting in that downward facing dog, pedaling through our heels. We are here for 3 nice deep long breaths. Really fill your lungs and exhale out through the mouth. One more deep breath. And then bringing our gaze to look up towards our hands, we're going to step our feet up to the top of our mat here so that we meet in our forward fold now at the top of our mat. Holding onto our elbows, releasing our head, feeling that openness between our shoulders as we just allow gravity to take over. Maybe bringing that sway back in here, or we can just find stillness if you prefer. Then coming back to center, releasing the hands to the mat or to the shins. We're going to inhale and we're just going to lift halfway. So lengthening along the spine, lengthening along the back of our legs a little bit here. Really finding that extension from our tailbone through to the crown of our head. And then as we exhale, let's come back into our forward fold, maybe hooking our arms around the back of our legs. With our next inhale, we are rooting to rise. So we are pressing through all 4 corners of our feet to nice and slowly, nice and gently come all the way back up to standing, lifting our head up is the last thing we do as we find that extension once again. Here in our mountain pose, we are firmly rooted into the ground here. Then bringing our hands to our heart center, pressing our thumbs into our sternum, allowing our shoulders to soften down and away from the ears. We have lots of space between the tops of our shoulders and our ears. We're going to start to channel our weight through our left foot here to begin with. So really just focusing on that weight coming through that left foot so that our right foot can start to release. We're going to hinge from our hips and we're going to start to lean forwards. And as we do, that right leg's going to come out behind us. So we're going to release that right leg out behind us, seeing if we can bring our chest and that right leg parallel to the ground. And once we are there in our warrior 3 variation here, we're going to step that right foot to the back edge of our mat. So we're going to have that right heel grounded on the mat. That left knee is nice and bent here. Our chest is forwards. And once you are ready, with our next inhale, we're going to swoop our arms forwards, then back, drawing our thumbs back so that the tops of our arms frame our ears. We are nice and lifted, maybe tucking our hips slightly here because sometimes we have a tendency to arch. So we are finding strength here in our warrior 1 as we keep that connection to our breath. Inhale deep through the nose here. As we exhale, we're going to bend our arms and bring our elbows in line with our shoulders, palms facing away as we find our cactus arms here. Inhale to lift and lengthen, and exhale to cactus arms. 2 more. Inhale to rise. Exhale to open, nice and open through the front of our body, squeezing our shoulders together. Inhale and exhale to cactus arms. We'll inhale to lengthen warrior 1. As we exhale, let's open to warrior 2. Left hand to the front, right hand to the back, palms facing down. Let's see if we can bring our hands in line with our shoulders. And let's see if we can open through our front body just by pulling our little fingers back a little bit here. So we are nice and open. Leaning into that front hand slightly, we're going to turn that left palm to face the ceiling. We're going to draw our fingers up and back. Right hand meets the back of the right leg. Coming into our peaceful warrior. Warrior 2 to triangle, peaceful warrior to triangle even. We're going to lengthen through that front leg. Back of the left hand meets the inside of that left leg. Right fingertips release and come up towards the ceiling. That left hand can be as high as you'd like it here. Maybe that gaze is focused on the right thumb. We're going to swoop that right hand down, bending through that left knee, bringing our hands to frame that left foot to begin with, pivoting on the right foot so the toes are pointing up. We're going to ground that right hand into the mat as we lift our left fingertips up, following that left thumb, finding a twist. Releasing that left hand down, framing that left foot. We're going to step the left foot back so that we meet in a high plank here, pushing the ground away. Lowering onto our knees, our chest, then our chin, coming down to the mat. Hips are still high here. And then we're going to roll our hips down to the ground, tops of the feet meet the mat. And as we inhale, we're going to push up and meet in a baby cobra. Taking a nice deep breath in here. As we exhale, release our chest to the ground. Then inhale, downward facing dog. Sending our hips high. We are here for 3 breaths, pedaling through the heels. Then finding stillness, bringing our gaze up to our hands, nice bend through the knees as we step our feet back to the top of our mat, forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway up and exhale to fold. Inhale to rise all the way back up to standing. And we'll meet in our Tadasana, bringing our hands to our heart center once again. Let's move over to the other side. So really focusing that rooting through that right foot. Visualize it first. And once we're there, pressing our thumbs into our heart center, we're going to start to lean forward. And as we do, let's allow that left foot to release out behind us. So bringing ourselves that little bit further down, so perhaps we are parallel to the ground. Before stepping that left foot to the back of our mat with control, heel meets the ground, right knees nice and bent over the top of that right ankle. Our chest is forwards, tucking our hips slightly here so that we can keep that length through our spine. And once you are ready, releasing our hands, we're going to lean forward before drawing our thumbs up and back, meeting in a warrior one, keeping the connection to our breath. Nice deep breath in. And as we exhale, let's open into our cactus arms, elbows in line with our shoulders, drawing our shoulder blades together so we are nice and open. Inhale to warrior one. Exhale to cactus arms. Inhale and exhale to open. We'll do two more. Inhale and exhale. One more. And exhale. Okay, we'll inhale back to our warrior one. And as we exhale, let's open into our warrior two. Right hand to the front, left hand to the back, palms facing down. Drawing our little fingers back, opening through the front of our body. Then leaning into that front hand, right palm faces the ceiling as we turn it and guide it up and over. Peaceful warrior, left hand meets the back of the left leg. Maybe our gaze comes up to that right thumb for a little bit of extra balance. Keeping our connection with our breath at all times. We're not holding our breath. With control, peaceful warrior to our triangle, lengthening through that front leg. Back of the right hand meets the inside of the right leg. Left fingertips release, pointing up to the sky. Maybe our gaze is up at that left thumb. Nice and gently start to add that bend back into that front knee as we bring that left hand down to frame that right foot, pivoting on the left toes. Left hand is grounded on the inside of that right foot. As we inhale, release the right fingertips to the sky, gaze to the right thumb, easy twist. With control, right hand floats down, framing the right foot, and we're going to step that right foot back to meet in our high plank here, so pushing the ground away. And then once you are ready, with control, keeping our elbows as close to our body as we can, we're going to lower all the way down onto our belly. Tops of the feet meet the mat, and with an inhale, we're going to push up into a baby cobra, and exhale to release back to the ground. So we're just going to bring our hands a little bit wider, so maybe just to the outer edges of our yoga mat here, but up on our fingertips, starting with our gaze just focused on the ground here. With our next inhale, we're going to push the ground away once again, so squeezing our shoulder blades. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. Head is the last thing to come down. Inhale to rise, and exhale to lower. Two more. Inhale to lift, And exhale to lower. Last one. Okay, bringing our hands back underneath our shoulders. We're pushing straight back up onto our knees, bringing our two big toes together this time, sending our knees as wide as our yoga mat, and then sinking our sit bones down to our heels. Belly comes into that space between our thighs as we stretch our fingertips out long. Head can meet the ground here, or if you prefer, release your elbows to the ground, cross your forearms, and rest your forehead. But we are here for 5 breaths in your child's pose of choice. And then bringing our head up first, walking our hands back in towards our body as we lengthen back through our spine. We're coming onto our heels. We're going to bring our thighs together and then swoop our legs to one side just so that we can come back down onto our mat. So finding that seated position, once again, just planting our feet back out in front of us, as we did right at the beginning, and bringing our hands behind our thighs. Once we are there and we have found stillness, we're going to inhale to draw our belly towards our thighs as we open through our chest, squeezing our shoulder blades together, and exhale to round, tucking our chin in towards our chest. So 2 more like this. Inhale to open and exhale to close. Inhale to open and exhale to close. This time we'll inhale to open, and as we exhale, let's roll our spine along the mat as we come all the way back down onto our backs. Once the back of our head has reached the ground, we're just going to shuffle so that our shoulders are nice and down away from our ears. Maybe just grounding through our heels here for a second to lift our hips, closing at any space underneath our lower back. Once we're there, drawing our knees back in, hugging them into our chest, rocking side to side if that feels good, or maybe this time we can even draw some circles with our knees. We can have our circles with our knees together, or we can even do them individually if that feels good on your hips. Making sure we're still tuned in to our breathing. As we begin to find stillness, meeting back in our Apanasana, our knees to chest, we're just going to drop the left foot to meet the ground here. So we're keeping that left knee nice and bent. And then we're just going to cross the right leg over the top of our left thigh. So that space just above our right ankle meets the space just above our left knee. So opening through the hip in this figure of 4 shape here. So either keeping it here or taking it a little further by lifting that left foot off the ground and just interlacing our fingers behind that left thigh, drawing that left knee a little closer in towards us. Switching sides, just allowing that left foot to release, guiding the right foot to the ground and switching over, lifting up that right foot, interlacing the fingers, drawing that right knee a little closer towards us. Let's take our hands away from the back of our right thigh, releasing the left knee and come back into one last Apanasana, knees to chest. Maybe this time we can slowly turn our head from side to side. Before bringing our head back to center, we're going to stretch our legs back out nice and long to the bottom of our mat till we return back into our original shape, our corpse pose. We'll inhale to send our arms up and overhead one final time. And as we exhale, let's guide them to frame our hips with our palms facing up. And I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze here as we come into the final part of our class. So our heels are nice and grounded into the bottom of our mat, but let's just let go of our feet by allowing them to roll out to the sides, just so that we're not holding them up. And just notice how that helps us to release through our legs. And let's just allow our legs to start to feel nice and heavy. We'll let go of any tightness or tension we might be holding through them. We can almost imagine that our yoga mat is here to absorb any remaining tightness and tension and heaviness we might be holding through our body. So we've done some really good deep breathing today. Let's just allow our breath just to come back to its natural rhythm as we notice the gentle rise and fall of our belly and our chest. It's allowing our shoulders to soften and allow the yoga mat just to take the weight of our shoulders and our arms. And we just allow our arms to feel heavy. And perhaps here we can begin to unclench our jaw, even softening our tongue and releasing it from the roof of our mouth, maybe resting it behind our bottom teeth. And begin to relax that space between the eyebrows as you let go of any tightness or tension you might be holding onto there. Just allowing our bodies to absorb that feeling of deep relaxation today that we can take with us for the rest of our day or into our night, depending on what time of the day you're watching this. And you can feel free to stay here for as long as you need. Before we finish, I just invite you to take the deepest breath you have taken all day in through the nose. And just let everything go out through the mouth. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.